welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Chris Wynn in studio. Of course, it's Monday. Of course, Chris Wynn will be here. He's very loyal to the Vegas Take. A Vegas Take. What would you call yourself? You are a Vegas Take contributor.
I am a contributor to the Vegas Take, and of course, it appears, gentlemen, there will be some changes, so we will see, exactly going forward what happens, but possibility of changes.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you who else is a big contributor to the show, Donald Trump, because he always says something stupid every day to give me something to talk about. He's a huge contributor, so I just want to say this.
Donald Trump has actually been our producer for the last year.
Mr. Trump, thank you so much for all of the levity and all the contributions. You might as well be our segment producer. You might as well. I mean, you just give us so much material; it's unbelievable.
But the check will not be in the mail.
Yeah, well. Apparently, Trump and the family, what they do is they just don't pay their bills at bars. Apparently, that's what they do. I don't know. But I do want to get to this CNBC phone interview. Before we get to that, there have been a few people that have been waiting very patiently on hold. We love our listeners. We love them. Even Wilfrey. We love them
and
all.
our callers.
Yes, we do. Listeners, our callers, all of them. 257-5396, the number to call, 702-257-5396. Take a couple calls about this Donald Trump visit to the UK, this tariff situation, the fact that his two sons decided to just walk out of a bar and not pay the tab. Well, it was paid later, though. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Neil, who's been waiting patiently on hold. Neil, what's up?
Brian, how's it going?
Doing good, Neil. What's on your mind?
Hey, listen, you got a great show.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, it's not quite the Gong Show, but I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I also happen to have a passion for the word imbecile.
I like buffoon. Buffoon is my favorite word, Neil.
That works too.
Yeah, I like buffoon.
Let me get to my point.
Please,
okay?
yes.
I want to touch upon Gerald Nadler.
Yes.
And I'm begging him to subpoena Mr. Mueller, the war hero.
I hope he does.
We need to ask the war hero questions.
I agree. And who's afraid of that? Donald Trump. He doesn't want that to happen.
I'm not so sure about that. I think that, what is it? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Mr. Mueller, we have some questions for you. Also, another point I wanted to make. I love the fact that Gerald Nadler had John Dean before his committee today.
Mm-hmm.
Let's tie this into Richard Nixon. Let's tie this into how they railroaded Richard Nixon.
Right.
Never charged with a crime. Okay. In 1973, all we had was the media filter.
Well, hold on a second.
Whoa. So are you under the impression that Richard Nixon should have never resigned and never been impeached?
Yeah. Now, if I'm wrong, you can correct me. I don't think he was impeached. I think he resigned before impeachment.
He did actually. Yes.
He would have been impeached.
Yes, but he would have been impeached.
He was not charged with a crime. Where was the crime?
Okay, so let's go to Donald Trump. I don't want to talk about Richard Nixon. Let's talk about Donald Trump. There are at least 10 instances of obstruction in the Mueller report. I read those instances. Many people would agree, unless you are completely biased. So let's wait and see how this plays out, Neil. To say that Donald Trump didn't. Now, listen, there was no collusion with Russia. Fine. Let's all agree on that. But there are instances of obstruction in that report, and that needs to be sought out.
Can I respond?
Yes, please.
To me, I didn't go to law school, all right? But
neither did I.
I think this is common sense. You need to have a predicate crime to have obstruction of justice.
And that is what Congress is going to do. I believe the Democrats are going to take the next steps necessary, and they are going to continue to investigate and look into that based on the Mueller report alone, the fact that he could not exonerate Donald Trump, the fact that there are at least 10 instances in that report of obstruction is enough for Congress to act. And I agree with some of these tough-nosed Democrats out there. There's not many of them, by the way, but there are a few that say, now is the time to make the decision. Put your foot down. I don't care if Nancy Pelosi doesn't like it. I don't care if some Democrats don't like it. For God's sakes, it's in there in the Mueller report. He's leaving it to Congress to make that decision. Now it's time to make that decision. That's it. Final. Democrats need to take a stand here. Enough of the nonsense of trying to make everyone happy, including Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi said it herself. Well, I don't want the president impeached. I want him in jail. I don't understand that remark. For the life of me, I don't get it.
But I also think that Neil does not have a very high opinion of Robert Mueller, as and thinks that, and I think Neil, along with President Trump and many of the Trump supporters, they take this position that is baffling to me. They take this position that Robert Mueller, hey, the Mueller report is out. It's been proven. No collusion, no obstruction of justice. Yet on the same hand, they jump over and want to criticize Robert Mueller and discredit him and say that, he's this person who's biased. He's this person who worked with 12 angry Democrats. Let me tell you something. We say it all the time. You can't have it both ways, okay? Use the analogy, whatever analogy you want. You can't have your cake and eat it too,
For the
people,
record,
okay?
for the record,
he's either a credible person, okay, that put out a report that you got that you Trump supporters and President Trump and you, Neil, say, and nothing. It's all been proven. It's a done deal, as Mitch McConnell said, right? That case closed. Or it's the other way around. You can't have it both ways.
For the record, though, JD is a very angry Republican. That's just my personal opinion. This is, by the way, what Donald Trump said in an interview this morning on CNBC in regards to people crossing the border illegally with these troops. He said, "quote, nobody is going to be able to get through." He said, "Nobody." And then they're also going to protect our southern border. That is what the president of the United States said. First of all, Trump is arguing that sending these Mexican troops to stop people entering the Central America, nobody's going to be able to get through. But, I mean, is it an end-all? That's what he's making it to be. Trump is making it end-all. What do you think about that? We're talking a little bit about the tariff situation, that nonsense, and, of course, I shouldn't call them Uday.
Doesn't it sound like a lot like North Korea, Brian? In North Korea, there's no longer going to be any issues when it comes to nuclear weapons or North Korea advancing.
How's that going?
Their nuclear
How's that
weapons.
going? How did that summit go?
Pretty much the same thing.
How's that going with Kim Jong-un? Let's just continue to kiss the ass of evil dictators like Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. That seems to be working out very well. 257-5396, the number to call. Let's go to Scott. Scott, what's up?
Yeah, what moron ever let you cover sports? I mean, do your parents own the radio station?
Yeah, Scott. My parents own the radio station. My last name is Shapiro.
Yes,
is this Shapiro Broadcasting?
His name is Brian Beasley.
Yeah,
he lies to everybody all the time.
Right. That's my name.
Oh,
so to answer your question, Scott, no. My parents don't own the radio station.
And we don't just cover sports. He covers politics and entertainment as well, too.
Yeah.
The show's called The Vegas Take.
So Scott, now that you've made an excellent point to start the phone conversation, please continue.
Oh, thank you, Brian.
Anything for you, Scott. Scott, anything for you, buddy.
Well, all of us here feel that with your squeaky little effeminate voice, the only sport you should
squeaky little feminine voice. What do you do for
Scott?
Scott,
I'm not typically mean to callers, but you are projecting right now.
Scott, what do you do for a living? I want to learn more about Scott. Please let me be your therapist. What do you do for a living, Scott? Oh, the coward hung up the phone. What a shocker.
So he thinks he's going to come
JD,
with a couple of sick burns, and both of his burns actually just fizzled out and were horrendous.
I think JD just ruined him.
Phone.
I think it was JD that did it. It wasn't me. I think it was him.
As Judge Smales would say, that is not top-notch. Actually, Judge Smales said it was top-notch, but I'll say it's not top-notch. That phone call right there.
Projecting. That was kind of funny.
JD, what did you like to comment on the phone calls. What was that all about right there? That was pretty much horrendous.
I think he was projecting. I don't think there's anything else to say.
He was definitely projecting.
Yeah. 257-5396. My name's not Brian Beasley. My last name is Shapiro. Last I checked, this isn't Shapiro. I wish it was Shapiro Broadcasting. It's not. Let's go to Marge. By the way, the number to call, 257-5396. Marge, what's up?
Well, I have to agree with you. He is projecting.
Thank you, Marge. What's on your mind?
You're welcome. I'm confused about something. I thought at one time that Trump said that his kids, they don't drink, they don't use drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, so why am I seeing pictures of Don Jr. in particular drinking?
Because you know what I think it is, Mark? I think that Donald Trump is the one who look. Donald Trump, I don't think he drinks. I don't think he's ever done drugs.
He doesn't.
Yeah,
no,
but I don't think his sons necessarily.
I blame Kimberly
prescribe to that exact
listen,
lifestyle.
I think his drug is banging porn stars. That's what I think Donald Trump. Well, isn't it all?
No,
of us, right?
Trump he is sober. He's very sober and has been for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Marge,
because his brother was a huge alcoholic and he actually died.
Yeah.
In his early 40s or mid 40s.
Well, Marge, one thing, know that if Don Jr. and Eric decide to buy you a drink at a bar, chances are they're probably going to walk out of the bar and not going to pay for it or tip.
It'll get sent to the White House, and they'll take care of it. It's taxpayer money us to find us.
That is true, Marge. I could not agree with you more. Marge, good to hear from you. Thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it. 257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number 257-5396. Let's go to Jimmy. Jimmy, what's up?
Oh, so I don't know. I think that Donald Trump is the guy. He don't drink. He don't do drugs. That's probably why he's got so much energy. But anyway, he does talk a lot, and he does, exaggerate a lot. The guy lies a lot, I guess.
Can I just stop you for 1 second, and then I'll let you continue? According to Stormy Daniels, he did not have a lot of energy. He did not last very long. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, he might have been with Melania just before he went to see her, and
based on their body language, I don't think they've slept in the same bed for a long time.
I think that's very valid.
Do you believe everything Stormy Daniels says?
No, it was meant as a joke, Jimmy. Go ahead.
How about Avenatti? He's a real character, ain't he?
He's definitely a character, though, isn't he?
He's
not?
absolutely
you have to
a
admit
character.
He's a character, right?
He's absolutely a character. I think
he might end up going to prison. And look, and I think I think there is, and this is to the caller and to everybody. I think there's a lot of people out there that think that Brian, you, myself, and as well as JD, we have this love affair with Michael Avenatti. That's not the case. Look, if it's proven in a court of law that he's done things wrong, he's going to get called out on this show, just like he's going to get called out on other shows.
Absolutely, but and what are we talking about here?
But what is the case is that he is probably the most interesting, important lawyer in the last 20 years.
No question.
As far as
certainly one of them.
high-profile cases. And he's a pretty smart guy, and he's very, very good on air.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
You think they'll ever go after Hillary and their foundation?
No.
Bill and Hillary Foundation?
Well, they already did. They already have. They already have done that. That ship has sailed already. They already have.
Yeah.
There's been a number of
they didn't do nothing wrong.
There's been a number of investigations into the Clinton Foundation as well as Hillary Clinton herself personally.
Well, who was investigating them though? They bought and paid for Barack Obama henchmen.
Well, I mean, look, the bottom line here is that if you're asking me a straight-up question, do I think they committed some violations and they broke the law? Absolutely.
They sure did.
The same type of violations, in my opinion, that Donald Trump broke with his foundation. Same sort of stuff. Did they break the law? Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm not up on this subject totally, but Hillary and Bill, was it Hillary and Bill redid 4 years of their taxes before she ran this last time? What'd they fix?
Define redid. What do you mean redid?
They went back and worked them over, I guess.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'd rather. I'll answer the question by saying this. I would much rather have that than have a guy like Donald Trump not release any of his taxes.
But that's not the point.
No, that's exactly the point.
You would much rather have doctored taxes?
Yeah, I would actually.
That's my question.
Yeah,
look, as you are not up on it. I don't think any of us here also are up on the tax situation with respect to Hillary Clinton for the past 15 to 20 years. So I don't really necessarily know if we'd be able to answer that question. That being said, you saying redo her taxes, I don't necessarily know what that means. What does redo her taxes mean?
I don't know. I find it interesting when you get to talk about Hillary Clinton's taxes, who's, by the way, not in office. She's not the president,
right.
But people like that will never bring up, hey, when are we going to see Donald Trump's tax returns? You know why? Because they're Republican, because they're biased, because they're always going to vote for Donald Trump. Donald Trump could do no wrong. He is the Messiah. He is the big orange Messiah. 257-5396. Let's go to Dan. Dan, what's up? Dan, what's going on? Are you there? We lost Dan. 257-53. We lost Lieutenant Dan. 257-5396. Let's go to David. David, what's up?
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Good, David. What's on your mind?
Just real quick, I want people to know the issue with Mexico and the people coming across their border. The issue there is international law of seeking asylum. And Mexico is breaking international law by allowing those people to transgress their entire country and then seek asylum here. And that's the issue. So whatever Donald Trump may say about it or not say about it, what he's doing is saying, look, Mexico, you got to start following international law.
Which I agree. And David, I agree with that. My point, or I guess my issue, and some people want to put it on the right, this is just the way Donald Trump is, right? He talks about this tariff deal, okay, and he tries to make it like this tariff that he induced on Mexico is the reason why, and that's just not the case. He's lying. And why do we have to have the lies?
Well, I don't know if, a lot of guys that, you got to believe it. So I think he says a lot of things that are in his mind. It's not necessarily a bad thing when you look at it in that light. I mean, a lot of people, I've done things in my life that I've said were true just so that they would become true.
But the difference being you're not the president.
Well, but I'm saying I think that's his mentality. I think he believes things that he wants to come true. And I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing. I'm not saying the guy hasn't told you that's the other issue. But there's no question that the pressure he put on Mexico made them start doing something that they have not been doing for 30 years. Just to say that they suddenly changed their mind for no other reason is ludicrous. But they had no interest in changing it. They had no interest in doing anything different than they've been doing.
But I would disagree with you as far as international law being the main issue. That's not the main issue. The issue is the President of the United States and his administration and their perception of immigration from the southern border. Their perception is they put it in and they have this mentality that it's somehow it's an issue of national security, and that we're having that we have a potential of terrorism coming across the southern border, and that's just quite frankly not the facts. That's not factual whatsoever.
That's fine, but should we have laws or not? And
100%.
Yeah, we should have the laws. Hold on. If you argue that we should have laws and not enforce them, then what's the point of having the laws?
Whoa, time out. You think so? We have no laws of the southern. You think that there's nothing going on? We have open borders right now in the southern border.
Is anarchy,
is that what
Chris.
you think?
No,
this is absolutely anarchy.
We have laws. We have laws in place.
I agree, and we should enforce them.
We have procedures. We have procedures when it comes to asylum in this country and seeking asylum.
We should enforce them. But hold on. The point is that most of those people never should be here to ask for asylum in the first place because Mexico is breaking international law by allowing them to pass.
Well, we can't govern other people's borders and we don't have a say in other people's negotiations when it comes to their sovereignty and whether or not how things go in countries around us. That's not something that necessarily takes place.
Yeah. David, I appreciate the call. I don't think we disagree. We agree more than we disagree.
I think he makes a fair point, but he's acting like that's the main situation we're dealing with here. That's not. International law is not.
Of Donald Trump's words and what he says in his own head, this is what he said in an interview this morning in regards to the budget. He said, quote, "I'm a budget cutter, and I have cut the budget. Here's a fact. That is a lie. Trump's proposed budget this year..."
It's very succinct and to the point. It's very Trumpian.
Well, Trump's proposed budget this year, $4.75 trillion. Guess what, folks? That's the largest in American history. Trump is a liar, okay? Our president is a liar. 257-5396. Let's go to Glenn. Glenn, what's up?
Mr. Shapiro, good evening.
Good evening, Glenn. What's on your mind?
You said something earlier about President Bush being at fault for the collapse of 2008.
I didn't say he was at fault for the collapse of 2008. What I did say is look at the economy that Barack Obama took over. The last president, I believe, was George W. Bush.
But I know where you're going with this. Bill Clinton was actually at fault for 2008.
Actually, it goes all the way back to Jimmy Carter. The savings and loan debacle started with Jimmy Carter.
So you don't put any responsibility on George W. Bush?
My whole point was not who was at fault. My whole point was who was in office in 2008 when everything started with respect to the recession.
So let me ask you a question, Glenn. With the economy going the way it is, Donald Trump is in office right now. Do you give Donald Trump all the credit for the economy? He's in office, right?
I can't give Donald Trump all the credit because he's not in control of monetary policy. The House of Representatives is.
Okay, I agree. But then why does he want to take credit for it all the time? Does he not do that all the time?
Because the House takes, Democrats take credit for everything else.
Well, I think politicians like to do that, but I think Trump does it on another scale. Would you disagree with that?
Trump's very large in everything he does. I agree.
Well, yeah, you're right. He is about 240 pounds, so you're right about that. Maybe 250? I don't know.
I thought he was 238, right?
Didn't
his doctor say he was hair under 238?
I tell you what, he looked so good in that tuxedo, didn't he, Glenn?
He's a sharp-dressed man.
He's a great-looking guy, and I'm sure that's why Melania married him, because of his lavish looks. I agree, Glenn. We agree completely.
Melania married him for his money. Come on.
A good thing, Glenn, you could recognize sarcasm. Thank you very much for the call. We appreciate it. Did Glenn actually take me seriously there? Wow.
No, he was making a very obvious statement, and it's true.
Wow. It is an obvious. Thank you for the call, Glenn. Regardless, we appreciate it. All right, big stories coming up ahead. We want to talk a little bit about this helicopter crash in Manhattan. Scared a lot of people. Big Papi shot in the back. How is he still alive? We'll talk about that. Of course, the NBA Finals, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, going to Game 7. That and much more of the Vegas Take. Keep in tune here. We'll be back right after this.